Hey LinkedIn, and welcome back to People Ops News. This is a weekly show where I go through what's actually happening in the world of people and work and try to make sense of it. I'm Alexei, I run a people ops firm called Polar Bear, and I read way too much about people operations, so you don't have to. 5 stories today. Let's get into it. So the US job report landed on Friday, and on the surface, looks great. 172,000 jobs added in May, more than double what was expected. Unemployment held at steady 4.3%. But underneath this headline is the strangest labor market the US has seen in years. Because this is what economists call low hire, low fire market. Layoffs are at their lowest in 2 decades, but hiring has cooled just as much. The hiring rate is down near recession levels, and quitting just hit a 6-year low. So almost nobody is being let go, and almost nobody is moving on either. The whole thing has seized up. Here's the number that adds to the story. Of the people who are unemployed, the share who've been out of work for more than 6 months jumped to 27.5%. A year ago, that was 20. So if you have a job, you're probably keeping it, but if you lose it, the search could be long and brutal. As for your own teams, don't read quiet is healthy. The employee disengagement is still in the building. It just isn't walking out the door. Story 2. If you caught episode 1 last week, you know the legal ground under AI at work keeps shifting. Let's start with California. 3 weeks ago, the governor signed the first in the nation order on AI in the workforce. It tells state agencies to track how AI is actually hitting jobs, to look at things like severance for displaced workers, and to build a public dashboard of AI's impact, industry by industry. But it's a roadmap, not a rule book. There's no new obligation landing on your desk tomorrow. It's a signal of where this is heading, not a rule yet. So the same 2 themes from last week's episode still hold, wherever you operate. Know what AI is touching in your people decisions, and keep a human in the loop for anything that affects someone's livelihood. Story 3, and it's the other side of the AI and job story, and a bit more hopeful. You might have seen a Stanford study that tracked the actual US payroll data and found that workers aged 22 to 25 in the jobs most exposed to AI saw their employment rates drop by about 13%. The bottom run of the ladder is thinning out. Fear not, young Jedis, because a new report found out that entry-level workers who have a verified AI certification are earning around 25% more than the ones who don't. And Gartner is now projecting that within about 2 years, AI may start creating more jobs than it eliminates. The curve is expected to turn. So let's put those together. AI isn't simply deleting work, it's splitting people into 2 groups, the ones who can use it and the ones who can't. And the gap between those 2 groups is already showing up in the paycheck. Story 4 is the good news. The biggest, most careful trial of the 4-day workweek just got published in Nature, and it's the most solid evidence we've had of this in a very long time. Almost 3,000 employees across 6 countries and 141 companies participated. Everyone cut their hours by about 20%. No cut in pay, and it was measured against control companies that didn't change anything. So the results, you might ask, well, burnout down, job satisfaction up, mental health up, physical health up. People slept better and felt less wiped out. But this is the part to pay attention to. The companies that pulled it off redesigned the work first. They cut the junk meetings and the busy work before they cut the day, which is exactly the lesson from episode 1. Well-being isn't a perks problem, it's a design problem. The 4-day workweek works precisely because it forces you to redesign how the work actually happens. The day off is almost a side effect. Last one, and it ties the whole episode together. The fastest growing complaint in workplace reviews right now isn't pay, and it isn't workload. It's the gap between what a company says it stands for and what it actually does. One survey found out that 45% of workers say they work somewhere they didn't live up to its own values, nearly half. And in the review data, mentions of the word misalignment are 149% up this year. Burnout mentions up 65%. Confidence sitting at a record low. Now, connect that back to story 1. In a frozen market, people can't quit. The exit is closed. So all that frustration doesn't show up in resignations anymore. It shows up as silence, as cynicism, as people quietly checking out while staying right where they are. Advice is simple. Close the gap between what you say and what people actually experience, especially between leadership and the front line. In a market where nobody's leaving, trust is the only thing keeping people genuinely engaged and committed. If everything today made you wonder where your own teams stand, we built a free tool for exactly that. It's called the People Ops Index. It takes just 7 minutes and it gives you an honest read on where your people function is strong and where it's quietly leaking. No sales call attached, just a diagnostic. You'll find the link in the comments below. Take it, see where you land, and if it's useful, that's the whole point. And that's the People Ops news for this week. If any of this hits something you're dealing with, tell me in the comments. It helps me figure out what to cover next. I'm Alexei. See you next week.